Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to End Times Talk. This is a little bit of a later live that I'm doing. I was going to go live earlier and was just looking at things on the internet, and I'm sure there's news somewhere that people would want me to report, but I didn't feel like I was finding like enough to really kind of make a live. And I'm kind of glad I didn't go live earlier because I stumbled upon something that is truly sickening, and I'm going to expose it here today. I got a couple of things lined up before this that I'm going to talk about and comment on, but I want to make it very clear, and I'll make it very clear before I start talking about it. The latter part of this live is going to be for 18 up, 18 years old and up only. All right. And I'm going to make sure that after the live, I go into YouTube and I'm going to put like you have to be 18 to be able to watch this. So people that don't have their IDs or anything like that, with YouTube or their facial recognition stuff that they haven't done, later on, those people that haven't done that sort of stuff won't be able to watch it. You'll be able to probably see it live here, but you're not going to be able to see it later on if you haven't done that sort of stuff, because I'm going to put a age limit on this video because of the content that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But I'll get into that in a little bit because it's a heavy enough topic. I don't want to talk about it before I got to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing I want to show you here today is that the NHS warns staff to prepare for Ebola outbreak in the UK as eye bleeding disease. And remember that eye bleeding that was going on in America? And I think the first one was with Texas. I feel like there's a lot of things going around, and maybe they're releasing a lot of stuff and they're just saying it's one thing. But they're telling people, the NHS is telling people to stock up on PPE, which is personal, I think it stands for personal protection equipment, and isolate patients as soon as possible, ASAP. Um, NHS staff have been told to prepare for potential Ebola cases reaching the UK amid a fast-growing outbreak of the deadly virus in Africa. In updated guidance, the UK Health Security Agency has urged hospitals and GPs in frontline services to ensure they are ready to rapidly identify and isolate suspected patients, warning that while the risk to Britain remains low, imported cases are possible. And, they were doing the same thing with South Sudan, even though supposedly South Sudan didn't have any people in it. They're treating it as if it's like, part of all this already, Supposedly it's not been confirmed there yet, but they're talking like it is. Hold on, I got to get a drink here. I usually get some water before I go live, but I neglected to do that. So, clinicians are being reminded to consider Ebola in a patient who is acutely unwell with a fever and has traveled from affected regions within the past 21 days, reflecting the virus's incubation period. So, the NHS is telling people in the UK, you're going to have to consider Ebola when people are sick now at this point. So that kind of tells you how far things are kind of reaching now. They're starting to brace, medical teams elsewhere in the world, like, hey, heads up, be paying attention. And so I don't want to go too deeply into this because it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. You can look this article up, Daily Mail, and you can look, punch this in, and you can find this article relatively easily. The next thing I want to talk about is, give me a moment here. This was rather interesting. Now, I'm not Catholic at all. I don't believe in Catholicism. I believe it's actually like a Christianized version of witchcraft, okay? And, I don't judge people who are Catholic. Believe whatever you want to believe, but it isn't for me, and I don't believe that it's biblical to the standards of what the KJV Bible talks about, okay? That's just my opinion. But I'm not saying that there's Catholics that aren't saved, because there's some Catholics, they label themselves as Catholic, but they only believe in Jesus. They don't pray to nothing else. But you can't serve two masters. You can't serve Mary and Jesus at the same time. Anyways, with that being said, a Washington priest has been removed as exorcist after linking UFOs to work of demons. we had that guy just recently, and I have the clip, but I'm not going to dig it up. He was on the Sean Ryan show, and he was talking about, and he was Catholic. He was talking about how when these demons manifest, they look like gray aliens. And we've discussed this before on the channel. We've talked about how Aleister Crowley and these spirits that he would channel, spirits like Lamb, spirits like Ewas, these things came looking like gray aliens. And, Aleister Crowley, who was a Satanist, who would channel these things and summon these things up, drew pictures of them. They look just like gray aliens. I mean, just like gray aliens. And then Aleister Crowley said, today they call them angels and demons, but tomorrow they will call them something else. And so, again, I think, they're really pumping the gas on this thing, with Disclosure Day coming out in, I believe it's 8 days. Disclosure Day is coming out. I do not plan to see that in the movie theaters. It reminds me of that one movie, Leave the World Behind, and they broke down the audio clips within that. And I can't remember, there's a certain amount of audio clips that are normally in a movie. And they found out that in Leave the World Behind, there was one that was added extra with a certain frequency meant to make you uncomfortable, to make you feel unsettled, all that stuff throughout that movie. And a lot of the drone videography that was done in that movie was designed to give you an unsettling feeling too. Shooting footage in a way. I mean, the whole beginning of that movie, Leave the World Behind, was really like, it was kind of a mind bender. I'm thinking in my head, is the whole movie going to be like this? And it wasn't. But I was like, if the whole movie's like this, I'm not watching it. I don't care how apocalyptic it is. And usually when there's an apocalyptic movie, I'm going to watch it. And so I kind of feel like there's such a big deal being made about Disclosure Day, to the point where Steven Spielberg has come out and said that this movie is going to answer questions and raise new questions, is what he's saying. All right. And so I find that very, very interesting. There's a lot of conspiracies that are already afoot talking about Disclosure Day and how this is kind of like a soft disclosure. They're using entertainment to help bring this thing in. And let me tell you something. I was talking to Sister Laura earlier today, and and I don't care if people get upset about this, because if you rattle people's understanding even in the slightest bit away from what they believe it's going to be, they will get angry at you. I've found this out through the 4 years of doing this online. And let me tell you, we have this picture as pre-tribulation rapture believing Christians. So we believe that the rapture is going to come before God's wrath is poured out on this planet during the Great Tribulation. All right. Those of us who believe in that, actually, can get upset by, the idea of aliens and things like that, because we all talk about a lot heavily that, the alien, the false flag, demonic alien agenda and the UFO agenda. We talk a lot about how they're going to use that to explain away the pre-tribulation rapture. Okay. We're just putting that out there. All right. Now I'm going to hypothesize something here. And I was just kind of thinking on the fly. I'm not saying the Lord gave me this. This is just something that kind of came to my head. What if they decided to have full-blown disclosure of aliens to try to attack Christianity before the pre-tribulation rapture even happened? And then when the pre-tribulation rapture happens, all right, and think about it. If they had disclosure and used disclosure as a way to combat revival happening, there's all these mass baptisms happening, thousands of people being baptized, all over the world, in one setting in one day, just thousands of people being baptized, 2,000, 3,000, and you have these colleges where people are just, pouring their heart out to God, and these kids that are giving their lives over to God. What if they decided to combat that with disclosure? Because you better know that when the demonic alien agenda begins, they're going to come with what they're going to call pre-scriptures. pre-scriptures. They're going to write some mumbo-jumbo Book of Mormon offshoot type of bullcrap, and they're going to try to say this and this and that, and they're going to try to undo everything that the Bible is by these pre-scriptures. I do believe that when the false flag alien agenda, demonic alien agenda begins, that will be a common factor all throughout the situation. They're going to come with pre-scriptures. Okay, they're going to say, oh, we invented this and this and that. This doesn't mean this. You got this wrong, blah, blah, blah. But what if they use disclosure to combat revival that's happening in the last days? And what if they brought this about before a pre-tribulation rapture? So that way, when the pre-tribulation rapture happens before the Great Tribulation, they can just say, well, we took them because they were whining and crying the whole time that we were here. Think about that for a moment. And think about the chaos that would ensue after disclosure happens. Let's go back to Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. All right, this was a radio broadcast that happened, I believe it was back in the 40s or 50s. Anyway, so Orson Welles did this, a couple hour long broadcast. In the beginning of the broadcast, he said it was a joke. And in the middle of the broadcast, he said it was a joke. But the rest of the broadcast, it played out as if aliens and tripod UFOs were, walking around. I mean, if you've ever seen War of the Worlds, Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning, you kind of have a picture of what they're trying to sell people. I think Steven Spielberg did an okay job at reiterating what Orson Welles was trying to do, with more visuals. All right, you have this Orson Welles' War of the Worlds that took place. And dude, when that played, there were people going to the hospital that were dying of heart attacks, right? And it brings up that scripture to me: men's hearts will fail them for fear of what's coming upon the earth. And I truly believe that they've gotten this demonic crap cooked up so much that they could definitely pull this sort of thing off even before a pre-tribulation rapture. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, because the whole entire time we've been thinking the aliens are come right after the rapture, that they can't show their face until right after the rapture. And there is nothing in the Bible that says that that's how it's going to be. The enemy's plans have not been made known to that extent. And will tell you, though, that they need something to combat revival as it's breaking out, because I believe it already is. Man, people are more open to hear the gospel and the good news of Jesus Christ than they ever have been. And I believe tough times are coming because God is drawing people to himself. God is drawing people to his Holy Spirit, to Jesus, to salvation through Jesus Christ and his precious blood, atoning for their sins. All right, more people are way open to this now because of what's been taking place. And so, wouldn't it be convenient for the enemy to bring about, a soft disclosure event, to be able to, try to discourage Christianity from growing before a pre-tribulation rapture? So, man, we got to be laboring in the field, folks. We have got to be laboring in the field. Now, this guy, this Catholic priest in Washington State, who said that UFOs and all that stuff have to deal with demons, he's been removed from being an exorcist. So obviously he's seeing something that is correlating the alien demonic agenda to the actual demonic realm. Okay, so he's seen enough evidence to prove that to himself. And then we have that other Catholic priest on the Sean Ryan show. You should look that up. He said when these demons manifest, and it definitely could be just recently, they're shape-shifting into like gray aliens when they exit the human body upon these exorcisms. Now, when it comes to exorcisms, and I want to speak upon that just for a short moment, all right, alien abduction, the things that happen during alien abductions go hand in hand with the same things that happen during demonic possession. And I've broken this down before. I mean, I have other videos on it where, like, the sleep paralysis and things like that. These, all sorts of different things that take place. The feeling of dread and death, and so there's a lot of it. And so when Jesus casted out demons, he didn't play around. He knew the authority that he carried with being the son, only begotten Son of God. So when he told demons to leave, they left. They listened. They did exactly as they were told. And so people need to understand how to know your authority in Jesus Christ because of what he did, not because of what you can do. And standing on that authority, when you stand against the enemy and the spiritual realm, or aliens, or chupacabras, or the Mothman, or whatever, it's all demonic. It's all demonic. It's all deception. It's all leading people away from truth and bringing them to this mystique and mystery that keeps them longing for more mystery, never really coming to a real truth or a real answer to where this stuff comes from. But if we take into account what the Bible's saying, the Bible's telling us that these are unclean spirits and foul spirits that walk amongst us on this earth. Of course there's half-breeds. They're demonically possessed. I'm sure that there's people that are being genetically manipulated and born in labs that, honestly, wouldn't count as having a soul. Could you imagine that, to be created in a lab with genetic manipulation, and you didn't even want to be created? They created you, and you can't go to heaven because you don't have a soul, because you are a abomination created by man. Could you imagine that? I'm sure that this has taken place somewhere. There's secret laboratories all across the globe, man, all across the globe, where they're manipulating genetics, and human genetics especially. But understand that the rest of this is a spiritual thing, and that these people, when you see their eyes flicker like reptilians, they're not actual reptiles with a skin suit on. Give me a break. That is demonic, a demonic force within them. And people, I do believe in kind of the skinwalker shape-shifting aspect of it, that because of what these things can do, they can kind of dematerialize and materialize, and they can bend things a little bit to what they want, the elements to their will, so to speak. All right. And so, of course, they could probably make it look like to everybody else that's around. If Satan can show Jesus the kingdoms of the world in a moment's time, I'm sure Satan can show you someone's eyes looking like a snake. All right. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe there's reptilians walking around with human flesh suits on. Right, kind of like Terminator, like underneath is this reptilian, and they get in private and they take their skin suits off and they're just like eating flies and crap like frogs. I don't believe that that's the case. I do believe that there's this stuff spiritually inside of them, absolutely. Hold on, I'm getting a drink. So, I just want to put that out there. But knowing your authority in Jesus Christ to cast out demonic spirits, you don't need to call yourself an exorcist. I think exorcisms are lame. Exorcisms are paranormal pornography is what I think it is. It's more of a fascination with the paranormal and poking and prodding at that thing to see what you can get out of it. That is communication with inhuman spirits. That is like a form of necromancy, communicating with dead spirits. And they're dead because they were once Nephilim. To communicate with the dead is forbidden. And these exorcists, they poke and they prod at that. It's not like that. Jesus don't play games. He says, out. You know what I mean? And they're out. All right? So if you have a demonic something or other going on in your life, and when you tell that thing to go, and you tell that thing it ain't allowed in your home no more, all right, and it ain't leaving, there's something that's giving that thing spiritual authority over you, and because you're not standing on your spiritual authority in Jesus Christ. Just adding that to this live. All right, so that it's always in Jesus' name. It's always by His power, not by our own, not by power, not by might, but by my Spirit. Jesus says, saith the Lord, not by might, not by strength, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. And so again, we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in the high places. And I'm kind of paraphrasing there, not saying it exact, but that's basically what the Bible's telling us, that we're not up against people. We're against these forces that are behind the people, these forces that are trying to deceive mankind into this final deception in the last days to help bring about a new world global order to bring about the Antichrist and to install him into power. It's going to take demons. It's going to take Satan himself. It's going to take the spirit of the Antichrist, and it's going to take every bit of the kingdom of Satan to try to install this man into power. That's what's going down. And when he comes, he's going to come through chaos, and he's going to come and he's going to act like, oh man, we've been through so much, we need a peace treaty. And he's going to sign a covenant with many, and then that is when everything is going to begin to hit the fan. And I'm telling you, it is going to seem like everything's getting better, and it's about to get a whole lot worse, I promise you. Now, I do want to make this very clear. The things that I'm about to talk about are extremely, it's an extremely sensitive topic. There are things that you're about to see that are very, we'll say sexual, okay? Like, I can't avoid showing you certain things, but I have to expose people that are trying to hurt children and that are trying to groom children. God put it on my heart to make documentaries to expose these satanic people, these pedophile death cults that exist where they're harming children, grooming children, and trying to bring about, a perverse society. Kind of like in Sodom and Gomorrah, where it says the old man and the young men were involved in wanting to know these messengers of the Lord, these angels, in human form, that were sent to Lot to warn him to leave the city. And so it says the young men and the old men. That young men right there, that's pedophilia, all right? And, I'm about to show you something. There is a place in, I believe it's Birmingham, Washington State. And this thing, and again, I'm warning everybody here, this is extremely graphic, what I'm about to talk about. We're about to say some very graphic things because I'm not going to let these people get away with this, all right? I don't want any backlash like, Josh, you shouldn't have shown that. I know damn well what I'm supposed to do right now, and I know that the Lord has put this on my heart to show. So I don't want to hear no guff from nobody, no emails getting mad at me or nothing like that. You have a perfectly good opportunity right now to leave this live and not hear anything I'm about to say. So if you are here and you are about to listen to this, buckle up, Buttercup, because it gets bad. There is a sexual boutique in Birmingham, Washington, and it is known as Wink Wink. And this thing, again, woman-owned, inclusive, all ages, not creepy sex shop. All right, you see this thing here? Look at this thing. Yeah, Bellingham, not Birmingham, Bellingham, Washington, right there, right here. A all ages, not creepy sex shop in Bellingham, Washington. Can you believe this? Come one, come all. Woman-owned. And, of course, all the traffickers that groom children, okay, they'll always use a woman to initially make contact with the child because people will trust women more. And right off the bat, you have the eyes. All right, look at this logo here. Wink, wink. You have as above, so below. You have the eye closed upwards, and then the eye closed downwards. As above, so below. Right there. All right, and then this is your eye symbolism, obviously. Your all-seeing eye symbolism. And again, right off the bat, it says right here, woman-owned. Woman-owned. And you won't even begin to believe what this woman's name is. All right. So you have this woman. It says right here, Wink Wink is a woman-owned identity-inclusive sex shop in Bellingham, Washington, located between Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, BC. We celebrate sexual expression and exploration, more like exploitation, banish shame, and help our customers to better love themselves and others. Oh, I bet. Going to teach a lot of people how to love children is what it sounds like. And I have their curriculum. I have some of their curriculum I'm going to share with you because I looked into it. Among our products, you'll find non-toxic sex toys, lingerie, books, menstrual-related goods, and educational classes. Oh, wait. This is going to make you angry. Wink Wink is a sex positive, body positive, and gender affirming. We welcome all people, including those of all genders, expressions, and sexual orientations to our shop. Well, did you mention all ages? Yeah, you mentioned all ages. We aim to help make sexual pleasure, wellness, and health available and accessible to everyone, even your children. We believe that normalizing, accepting, and affirming all bodies, identities, even pedophiles, and gender experiences is an inherently political act. Pleasure is our revolution. Look at this word here. Pleasure is our revolution. Did you know that in the 1970s into the 1980s, there were countries that legalized pedophilia? You want to know how that movement got started? That movement got started because of this same revolution, a sexual revolution. And they believed that it was their right to have access to children the same way that they did in Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. And the woman that owns this sex shop, her name, I believe, is Jen Mason. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So you got the eye symbolism. You got as above, so below. And then the woman that owns it, her last name is Mason. Now check this out. So if we go to events and offerings, okay, classes and events. All right, let me make sure you're seeing this here. Then you have right here, Uncringe Academy, sex education classes for parents and youth ages 9 and up. Sexual education classes for parents and youth ages 9 and up. And their next class is this month at this location. All right. So let's click on this. Uncringe Academy. Look at this. All right. So they have their little white chalkboard and all this stuff up. And I looked into this a little bit more. And you have this pie that they've created. The top left quadrant is pressure, and there's a lot of arrows pointing to it. And so they cover pressure, coercion, manipulation, guilt, and fear. All right, now listen to this. The top right quadrant, it covers play. And the smaller text around it says fun, exploration, desire, and pleasure. Bottom left quadrant says pass, and it just has a big word, no. So you don't want nothing to do with it. And then the bottom right quadrant is protect, boundaries, respect, safety, and care. You see how they make like the most perverse things in the world seem so okay? And if you're, telling an adult or a child, if of anything at that point, all right, if you're telling a child any of this, okay, I mean, pressure, coercion, manipulation, guilt, fear. You see what I'm saying? And fun and exploration, like telling a 9-year-old that it's fun and exploratory and to talk about a child's desire. A child ain't got no desire but for a Barbie doll or an action figure. I'm sorry, children ain't thinking about you pedophiles and your nastiness. There ain't no desire in a child for any of that unless you people are corrupting them. All right? And on the right side, it even says enthusiastic consent written vertically. It's kind of written vertically on there. You can see it over to the side there. But this woman is writing all of this on there, and this Uncringe Academy is teaching 9-year-olds and up. 9-year-olds, man. A 9-year-old. A 9-year-old's body isn't even fully functioning yet. And this is so evil, man. So evil. And June 2nd at 6 to 8 p.m. is when they're going to do this. So they've already done it. They already did the first one. This just happened. So now listen to this. The 9 to 12-year-old class that they're doing. So only parents get to go on the 2nd. This is what they don't tell you, right? This is what they don't tell you. Look at this right here. Look at this. June 2nd, 6 to 8 p.m. was for parents. And then the 9 to 12-year-old class is on June 24th. And the 13 to 17-year-old class, all minors. All minors. Both of these classes, all minors, all under 18, June 23rd and 24th at 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. How much are you going to tell people from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.? What are you planning to teach these children? What are you planning to teach these children? This is evil, man. Absolutely evil. I mean, here's what this sex shop sells. Oh, got lots of this stuff. They got lots of this stuff right here. Look at all this. They're selling this at this shop while 9-year-old children are walking in there. Look at this. I mean, they got the whole kit and caboodle. The whole kit and caboodle. I mean, I can't believe this mumbo jumbo, dude. I can't believe it. That this is going on. 149 of these are for sale on their site. So more than likely, it's in person too. Oh, look, let's go down this road. Look at all this crap. Oh, you got your Slick Willie stuff there. I mean, this is ridiculous. And they're going to have 9-year-old children. Look at this. Look at that. They're going to have 9-year-old children to this thing. In front of this stuff. This stuff is going to be on the walls surrounding these children. This is a grooming center. You got to see it as that. This is a place where people are trying to groom children to consent to this stuff is what it looks like to me. It's what it looks like to me. I'm trying to find where it says the name. Give me a moment. And they got all sorts of books. Polysecure, She Comes First, Beyond Shame. Like, are you kidding me, man? And I mean, I get it if you're an adult. Whatever. All right, I get it if you're an adult. But these kids are not adults, and they can't even decide for themselves whether they want to be there or not, first off, because parents or groomers are putting them in this position to have to learn for, let's see here, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 4.5 hours of sexual education, not just on one day, but on the second day. Oh, look at this. They have after-hours parties. After-hours parties. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Dude, all right, check this out. They even have intimacy coaching. And again, right here, look at this. Right here, Jen Mason. Jen with Jen Mason. 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 As above, so below. All-seeing eye. You guys getting what I'm saying? Are you seeing? You see what I'm saying? Like, this is disgusting. This is vile. Right here. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm the owner of Wink Wink. Right there. And a certified sexologist. I didn't know there was such a thing. She says, I'm also the mom to a cool kid who has cerebral palsy. I mean, that's sad. A former sexual assault victim advocate and a school board member. So you're around kids all the time. Oh my gosh, man. Why would you introduce 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11 years old, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old to this stuff? They don't need to know nothing about it. They need to know how to say no. They need to know how to say no. That's what needs to happen. They need to know how to say no. I mean, this is horrible. I can't believe this. I can't believe this, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. This is so upsetting to me. And I'll tell you, you know, when I was looking at this, there was some symbolism on it, and I can't seem to find that. But I mean, dude, look. Black Lotus Jupe rope. Oh, you're going to sell rope? For what? Oh, they sell mints. Got to get your mints. I mean, this is ridiculous, dude. This is ridiculous. I'm trying to find this one. Look at, you can see all the rope in the background. Look at the rope in the background on the wall. It's on the wall. And you're going to have kids walk past all this? Oh, you got your liquid up here and on the shelf. This is ridiculous. Hold on, let me see if I can click on this. Yeah, no, it just takes you to this mumbo jumbo. I'm trying to find where this was. Jeez, oh Pete's, man. These people are sick. Absolutely sick. Oops. Oh, listen to this. How old do I have to be to shop at Wink Wink? Listen to this. There is no law or store policy that sets an age limit for our customers. All people are allowed into the shop. ID is required for any items that must be legally sold to people 18 and over. So you can, all you got to do is have someone buy it for you. You can come in and shop around. You could be 9 years old, 5 years old, and walk into this place. And they're just going to be like, hey, sweetie, what you need to learn about today? They don't sell any actual pornography, but I can guarantee you in some of those books there's pictures. Or any other items that are age restricted. In fact, you may not realize this, but sex toys are widely available at many stores. You are a sex shop. You are a dedicated sex shop grooming children to accept. Oh, man, I can't believe this, dude. Lots of people are raised in environments where sex is treated with shame, fear, silence, and dishonesty. Many young people, why is it all about young people? Why do you keep saying kids and young people? Like that shouldn't even be in your mouth talking about a sex shop or sex. Many young people feel like they can't ask questions about sex. Everyone eventually learns about sex from somewhere or someone. Unfortunately, what they often get is information that is inaccurate, unhealthy, and dangerous, putting them at risk. So you're going to teach them how to do it right, huh? So that way they can do it better, right? That's kind of like going to prison and learning how to be a better criminal. I'm going to be honest with you. We believe that all people deserve to have a place where they can ask questions in a non-judgmental setting, even pedophiles. So all people, even pedophiles, what if a pedophile walks in there and asks a question? Are you going to answer him? Because I don't see nothing about like, well, you know, if you come here and you're trying to start anything, we're going to call the cops on you. I don't see nothing about that. Listen to this. Does that mean young children shop at your store? Listen right here. Listen right here. It's probably pretty obvious. But, so what's obvious? They say all ages, so that means that, yeah, that's what I take that as. Yeah. All right, listen to this. It's probably pretty obvious, but being open to all ages doesn't mean young children are shopping with us. But it also doesn't mean that they're not. But, you see what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean that they're not. In practice, all ages means older teens or seniors. No. Listen to this. Consider that just because Home Depot is all ages, 5-year-olds aren't showing up in droves to buy chainsaws just because they can. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, do you guys hear this? This is such gaslighting. This is the pedophiles telling you, all right, you need to just back off. It's not like kids are buying chainsaws at Home Depot. I'm sorry, you don't sell chainsaws. You don't sell chainsaws. You sell rubber and rubber is what you sell. All right, and no child 9 to 17 years old needs to be around that. None of them. So I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty cheesed off right now about all this. All right, I'm going to end this now. I'm getting off of here. I've had enough. I don't even want to look at this anymore. So please, stay close to Jesus and stand against this stuff. Stand against this stuff. Stand against people that want to hurt children, even if you got to call them. People that want to hurt children, call them out. Call them out. is what people need to do. People need to call this stuff out. People need to call this stuff out and say, this is horrible and evil, and it shouldn't be going on. And you need to shut this whorehouse down is what needs to happen. Sorry, I'm yelling. I don't care. I'm upset. Have a great day. God bless. Jesus be with you. Go out and change this world and make a call.